So, hello everyone, my name is Biju Bora and I am the core member at GDSC and instructor for today's session, which is the Git and GitHub session for day 2. And in today's session, we will learn about GitHub and we will also talk about the version control system. Like we'll talk deep about what is VCS and why it is so useful. We will talk about some command line interface commands, Git commands, and at the end we will also talk about some like Hacktoberfest and how you can like contribute to open source projects. So just to give a quick recap, like what we have learned yesterday. So like these are the command that we taught you yesterday and it will be needed for today's session as well. So just to brush up your Git skill, so I will like go over some overview of these commands. So at first we have git init, which will like initialize a Git repository. Then we have a git command for git adding a file. We can like git add, write the name of the file and it will add the file to the Git repo. We can like git add dot signifies that we want to add everything in our folder to the Git repository. And then we have git commit for committing our file to the Git repo. Git log will show the history of all your commits, and git status, it will show the changes that we have done to the file present in the stage area. Okay, there's one more thing. Most of the people are confused over stage area. Like, why do Git have a stage area and why there is a need for a stage area? So suppose you are at home and you want to go back to college and you have luggages with you and you want to like transfer all of your luggage to the college. For that, what you will do, you will like if you are traveling with a car, you will like take all of your luggage and put it in your car. So in that way you are like staging all your commits into a stage area. So your car is a stage area. So in that way when you push your code to the Git repository, similarly your like luggages that are present in your car will go to your like your institution, which is NIT Silchar. So git stage mean like you are loading up your luggages in the car or any transportation that you are using to like move your luggages from your home to your college. Similarly, unstage mean you are like unloading all your luggages from your vehicle or your transportation vehicle so that it remains at your home. So in that way the stage area work. So git stage is like you are loading up all your codes to an area from where it will get transferred to the Git repository. Similarly, git restore stage file name, it will unstage the file present in the stage area. And then we have a git restore, it will discard the changes done with the file. So suppose you are like writing something in your file and you realize that you made some mistake and it's showing an error to your entire file. So since you cannot refactor your code, you will what you can do, you can restore the file so it will be at the last commit, it will be at the same place as the last commit, so it won't show any changes in the file. So in that way these are all the git command that we will be using today. Moving on to the next slide, we will talk about git branch. So yesterday we have not talked about git branch yet. We talk about the basic of Git. So the main benefit of using Git is Git branch. So what Git branch does, it's like creating an alternate universe where you can play around with your code, you can do whatever you want with your code, and in case it gets some error or it gets some bug, but it won't affect your main branch. So typically we have two type of thing. You have a main branch and you have some other branches as well. So main branch is the branch which is the main code of your project, and other branches is the test branch where you can like play around with the code, you can do whatever you want. And in case you were trying to like make some changes, you were trying to add some feature, at last if you test the changes and it's so successful, you can merge the changes into your main branch. So I will give you a little bit idea about this. So suppose we have a main branch and suppose we are working on a app project, and I want to add a notification feature to my app, but I'm not sure that will it work or not. So what I can do, I can create a branch from my main branch. Main branch is the branch where our original code, or we can say the main code of our project, is stored. And I can like go with another branch, and we can like work there. We can test around the notification feature, and if it works, I can just merge that feature into my main branch. Similarly, there can be multiple feature as well. So like there is a little feature as I have shown here, which is at one commit, and there is another feature which is a big feature which is at 3 commits. So suppose we are working on a big feature and it's need lots of like version control, so you can like create a different branch from a main branch, and you can work there without fearing the effect of that branch into the main branch. So it won't affect your main branch. It's like you are duplicating your code and testing your code into another project. So before Git, what we used to do, like we used to copy our like main project, and like we used to make changes in our copied file, and in case the file start working, we used to merge the both of the project. But since after the coming of Git feature like branching, we don't have to worry about this thing. The Git will handle it by own. So if you want to play around with your code without fearing the effect of it, you can use branching for that. So like suppose I have added a meme here. So as you can see, he has created multiple branches. So it's your responsibility, after completion of your feature, your tasks, you have to delete that branch so that it won't like look like this. As you can see, there are multiple branches and you are not sure what branches does what. So in a big project, if you are working on a big project or something in a big industry, what they usually do, they just create a branch on a feature. After completion of that feature, they just merge the branch into the main branch, and after the merging of the main branch, they will just delete that branch so that it won't affect in the future. So it won't look like that you have maintaining the entire branches, like there is a bunch of branches here, dozens of branches. So if you like maintain so many branches, it will get confused in future, like which feature is associated with which branch. So in future it will like make you confused and like can break your project. So keep in mind that whenever you work with a branch, make sure that after the completion of your tasks, you just delete that branch and try working with a new branch, because making a branch is so much easier that you won't need to worry that if I delete one branch, how will I work for the next feature. I will show you in practical how it does that. So these are the basic command for Git branches. So like Git branch, I will show you in a practical way. I think you are clear at this point. Is it clear to you all? So that I can start working on the, yeah. Is it clear to you all? Okay, so let me create a folder here. Repository, I will be working on that GitHub folder. So like to initialize this folder, what we need to do, like first we need to move our current directory to this folder. So currently I'm at GDSC folder. I need to go to that GitHub folder directory. So what I can do, I can just write git GitHub and like cd GitHub. So I'm at right now at GitHub directory. Now let's create a file. Suppose I will be creating a web file, index.html, and like standard template here. Okay, now since our file is created, we can initialize our Git repository. So the command for initializing the Git repository is, as you already know, is git init. It will initialize a empty Git repository to your folder, after which you can like git add it will add your file to the stage area, and you can do git commit with a message. Suppose I will write initial commit. Okay, so git log will show me all the changes that I have made to the folder. So as you can see, this is the initial commit I have made at this time, and my head is now pointing to the master. And at this point, suppose I want to create a branch, I want to test a feature. Suppose I want to add a heading to my HTML page. So what I can do, I can just create a branch, git branch, and here you can specify the name of the branch. Suppose I'm writing here git feature 1. So the branch is already created. If you want to see all the branch present in your working folder, you can just type git branch. It will show you all the branches that are available in your git repository. As you can see, there are two branches. One is the master branch, which is the main branch, and another one is the feature branch. Currently I am at the master branch. As you can see from this symbol, it's showing star master. So currently I am at the master branch. Now since I want to make changes to this branch, feature branch, where I want to add some new features to my web app, so what I can do, I can just move to my feature branch and start working on my feature. So to move to my feature branch, there's a command for that, which is git checkout name of the branch, which is the feature. Okay, as you can see, it shows that we have switched to our feature branch. And if I do git branch, you can see that I am now currently at feature branch. So now I can start working on this feature. So suppose I'm adding a heading of, suppose, hello guys. I did these changes here, and you can see the color of our file changes to orange, which signifies that we have made some changes to our file. Also the VS Code also shows that we have made some changes. As you can see, we did this change to our file. And you guys may be wondering, is the code that I have wrote here is still available in my main branch? So let's see if this code is available in the main branch as well. So I will check out to my first I will commit this to my current branch, which is the feature branch. So I will commit the changes here. So git add dot, so git commit. So I will write here commit from feature branch. Okay, so as you can see, all the purple color or the orange color is gone, and we have committed our changes here. So I will move to my main branch, git checkout, which is master. Okay, as you can see, the text that I wrote here, which is the code hello peoples or hello guys, is not available in my master branch, because all the changes that I did to this file is available in the feature branch. That's why we say that whenever we create a branch, it's like creating an alternate universe where you can play around with your code and do some changes, and you can also test your code there without worrying about the changes will affect the main branch. So in that way, suppose I was working on a feature called adding a heading to my text, adding a heading to my web application, but I was fearing that in case my feature don't work, it will affect my main branch. So that's why I created a feature branch so that I can work there, and if I found out that the feature is working well, I can merge the changes made in the feature branch to my master branch. So as you can see, there is no changes available in the main branch, and the code that I wrote there is not available here. It is available in the feature branch. So at this point I realized that my code is working well in my feature branch, and I want that code in my master branch as well. So I want the code that is available in my feature branch to get merged with the code in my master branch. So this is what we call git merge. So in this way we can merge two branches together. So for that there's a command called git merge, and since I'm at master branch, okay, so currently I will show you. Currently I'm at master branch and I want to merge feature branch into my master branch. For that I will write a command git merge feature, which is the name of the branch. So see, the code that I wrote in my feature branch now available in my main branch. So all the code that I wrote there is now transformed there to here, and both of the branch are like they are like up to date now because they have the similar code. So they are, both of them are up to the date. And in VS Code currently I'm using an extension which is called, as I can show here, it called git graph. Using this we can visualize the effect of our branch merge and all the branch present in our repository. So if I show you about the git branches available in my repository, so okay, so as you can see my feature branch and my master branch are all together because they have the same code. If I start working on the feature branch and make some more commit, my head of my feature branch will move to more further away from my master branch. So in order to show you this, I will check out to my feature branch, and I will like suppose add one more code. Okay, so I wrote this code and now I will commit these changes to my repository. Second commit from my feature branch. Okay, so if I see here, as you can see, my feature branch is ahead of my master branch because we have one extra code in the feature branch which is not available in my master branch. So there is one website where you can play around with this git graph, so I will show you that quickly. Okay, is it clear to you all till this point? Okay, so if you search git playground, okay, so this is the website which is learngitbranching.js. We can go to this special link. Okay, from here we can like visualize the changes in our branches. So in practical project, like the project that we usually do in our GDSC or in any like company or stuff, what we usually do, we have a main branch. The significance of main branch is like the significance of index.html. We know the name index is special for the server because whenever server tries to fetch a file at the home page, we usually show index.html. So similarly, whenever we deploy something in the server, or suppose we deploy any application, something, suppose we are deploying some web application or we are deploying some front-end app, so the deployment usually goes through main branch because there is a significance of main branch. So whenever we deploy something, it is always associated with the main branch. And for the testing purpose, we usually do a branching from main branch to a dev branch. Dev branch is the branch where you can do testing and other stuff, and after the completion of testing we can just merge the dev branch into the main branch. So we can take an example. Suppose we are working at Facebook, and suppose we have okay, so first I will show you some basic command here as well. So git commit, as you can see we have made a commit and the head of the main branch is move ahead. This is our second commit, C2. I want to like create another branch. I will create a branch by typing git branch, suppose a dev branch. Okay, we made a dev branch, and I want to move to my dev branch. So what I can do, git checkout dev. So now I am at dev branch. From dev branch, suppose we have two people in our project. One is the front end guy, one is the back end guy, and the back end guy work on a back end part of the project, and the front end guy like work on the UI part of the project. So since both of them have a different purpose, so we will like create two different branches for them, so that they can work separately, and at a moment when both of their work will be done, we can merge both of their work together. So I will create two more branches. One is git branch for backend, and another one is for the front end, git branch suppose UI. Okay, so we have two people, one is the backend guy, one is the UI guy. So I will check out to the backend guy, git checkout UI. Okay, backend. So I am currently at backend branch. Name of the branch is backend, so I am currently at the backend branch of our project. So if I do some commit here, suppose git commit, so you can see the head of our backend branch is moved ahead of our main branch and other branches which are pointing to C2, but our backend is moved to C3. And if I do some more commits, suppose the guy is working on some features, he's adding some APIs, and he added some databases, he added some authentication as well. So you can see the backend guy worked quite well. And now moving ahead to the UI guy, so git checkout UI. So suppose the UI guy want to add a home page, he added a home page as you can see, and then he tried to add a notification, he added a profile page, then he added some login page, and he suppose added some more features in the application. So he did some more commits. Okay, at this point, suppose the backend guy, the person who is working at backend, want the UI changes to be merged with the backend so that he can connect all that stuff together. So currently both of them are working separately. The person who is working on the UI is working separately, and the person who is working on the backend is working separately. So at one moment, what we want to like merge both of the changes together so that we can like connect everything. We want to connect the backend with the front end. So as the person who is working at the backend, he want that all the changes which are present in the UI should be come to the backend as well, so that he can start working on like connecting the backend with the UI. So I will like check out to the backend. So git checkout backend. Now I will merge the changes which is present in our UI to the backend. So for that the command is git merge UI. So you can see the traces, how the code is working. This is the head of our backend, this is the head of our UI. So we can see that all the changes that are present in our UI are now available at the backend, and we did everything, like we have completed our tasks, and we want that our main branch should be merged with our backend so that we can push this to our production branch. So I will move to my main branch now, and I will merge the main branch with my backend. Okay, as you can see the main branch is now at backend, but suppose there's some issue, and suppose you wrote some code that totally broke entire project, and your server is not working. And suppose you are working at Facebook and your entire Facebook is down. You have seen now that Facebook is down for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So suppose you wrote some code and the tester was unable to find that bug in your code, and it's lead to like crashing your entire project. So at this point, what you can usually do, since we are using version control system, we can easily move our commits to the previous commit of our project. So it will be helpful for us, so that our like main production branch, which is our main branch, won't be affected by the commits that we did. So I want my changes to be like my previous changes, which was my previous version, because the new feature that we have added is not working perfectly and there are lots of bugs. So as you learned yesterday, there is a command for that, which is git reset. And okay, so currently let's check out to main, git checkout main. Okay, now I'm at main branch and I want my commit to be like previous version of my project. So what I can do is, here we can write git reset. I want my project to be at the same place which was my previous version of my project, which is C2. So I can write here C2. So as you can see, my main branch is now at C2, and the bug that was present in our main branch is not affected with our bug. The bug present in our backend branch is not affecting the bug, and is not affecting anything with our main branch. So like our main branch is now working fine. So the best practices that we usually do in project development is that we have two branches. One is main branch, which is the production branch, where we usually deploy our branch to the server, and another branch we have a dev branch. So what we usually do, after completion of every project or every feature, we just merge everything with our dev branch. So I will like check out to my dev branch, and I will like merge the backend with this branch. Okay, after the merging of the backend with this branch, I can like test everything, so to make sure that the everything is working fine, and I can now add more features from this dev branch as well. So I can like make some more commits in this branch. So, and as you can see, we are making some more commits, and we can also create another feature. Suppose I want to add one more feature to our branch, so I can like create another branch here, suppose feature 1, and we can check out to this feature. So now I am at feature 1, and I can do some more changes here, as you can see here. Okay, so the feature 1 is completely done. Then after the completion of this feature, I can merge my changes to the dev branch, and also parallelly the dev branch can also move on. So if I check out to dev, so suppose there are many developers who are working on this project. Some of them might be working on feature 1, some of them might be working on UI, some of them might be working on the backend part of the project. So as you can see, everything is working parallelly, and after completion of entire thing, we can like merge every feature into our dev branch. We can do entire testing there, and once we are satisfied with the working of our project in the dev branch, we can merge our project of that present in our dev branch with the main branch. So we can like push the features to the user, so the user can like see the main changes that we did. So this is how the things work in our industry. We usually have a main branch, which is the production branch, and most of the things like most of the codes which are present in the main branch are usually deployed in the server. So the server uses the code present in our main branch, and we have another branch which is the dev branch, or we can say the test branch, and we used to play around with the dev branch for adding new features and other stuff. And once our feature is completely added successfully and we have tested it around, and we found out that the things which are working on our dev branch is working perfectly, so at that moment we can like merge the thing present in our dev branch to our main branch. So I will merge first I will merge the feature 1 to my dev branch. oh sorry, merge whichever. Okay, so everything is working fine. Suppose we tested everything out and everything is working fine on our dev branch, and now we want that our dev branch should be merged with our main branch so that we can like push our code to the user, so the user can see our feature that we have added. So now I will like check out to my main branch. So now I'm at main branch and I will like merge my dev branch into my main branch. Okay, so this is a cool feature which is available on the internet. You can like play around with this, you can write your own code, you can see how the branching of our git work, because this is the most important part of using git, because we can use a branching and we can like test our project there, so it won't be affecting our main project. So this is, we will be using branching a lot in our projects. So most of the people get screwed up here, because there's, even though this is not that much complex, but still like as you can see there's a lot of branching here and there. We test thing from one branch to another branch, we merge thing from one branch to another, and eventually we after completion of everything we merge it to our main branch. So even though this is not complex at all, but still like people get screwed up. And one more thing that is not shown here is the git conflict. So conflict is like when you are working on a project, suppose you are working on a file and your friend is also working on the same file. You wrote some code, your friends wrote some code, and after completion of the project you try to merge it, but at that time you realized, not you, the git realized that both of them wrote different code, and he is confused that which code to consider. So your friends wrote some other code, you wrote some other code, and now git is confused like which code to consider for the main branch. So at that time it will be like showing conflict. I will quickly show you how git conflict work and how we usually resolve the conflict, because this is the most like this is the place where most of the people like screwed up the entire project, because git conflict is like very normal in this industry while working on a project when there are a number of people working together. So everyone like write their own code, they have their different type of writing style, and that's why when we merge things together it's so much conflict, because there's a different file, there's some different code in one branch and different code in another. So git get confused like which branch to consider and which code we should consider. So at that time it will show merge conflict and you have to resolve it. Like you have to like check what code you have wrote and what code to consider. So is it clear to you all at this time, at this point? After this I will show you how git conflict are work and what are git conflict and how we can resolve it. So is it clear to you all? If you have any doubt you can like type in the chat box as well. Okay, if you don't have any doubt like type yes, and if you have doubt type no, so that we can move ahead and like check what is git merge or git conflict. Okay, so as you already know that git Android Studio has its own git controlling like version control system. Like it has already implemented the version control system in their GUI, so you don't have to like write the code there and like write code in the terminal and type git branches and other stuff. Yeah, we do use branching in Android, but Android Studio provide us tools to like create branch and make commits to the Git repository or the Git repo. So Android Studio, Android Studio do have that feature that we can use to like create branches, and they have GUI support, so we don't have to write code in the terminal to make changes to our files. So also VS Code also provides that support, so we can also use the VS Code GUI to like commit the changes of our files to the Git repository. Similarly, Android Studio also provides the same, and it is easier to use in Android Studio instead of writing the terminal, because you don't have to memorize anything, you don't have to memorize any code like for the merging of any branches or like for creating a branches. So you can like work, you just need to click a button and it will create a branch and it will commit the changes to the repo. So I think you are clear with the answer. Every project that we use, including Flutter, including Android or web, everywhere we use Git branching. If it is associated with GitHub, we use Git branching there. Okay, GitHub, is it clear to you? Okay, so let's see what is Git conflict. Okay, so now I'm at let's see. Okay, we are at feature branch, so let's move to our main branch, which is the master branch. Okay, we are at master branch. So okay, we have not like merged the feature branch into the master branch, so like make it quick, I will merge the features in the master branch. Okay, so suppose this is our master branch and I want to like make changes here. I will show you how Git config work. So suppose this is written hello guys, I will change this to hello peeps, and I will commit the changes in the master branch. Git add, git commit. Okay, so I have made the changes here and committed the changes to the Git repository. Now I will check out to my feature branch, git checkout feature. Okay, switch to branch feature, and as you can see the hello peeps is not available here because we made the changes in the master branch, not in the feature branch. So instead of writing hello peeps, I will write suppose hello peoples. Okay, I did these changes. Now I will commit the change here, commit from feature. Okay, so the master branch, which is our main branch, there we have a heading of hello peeps, and in our feature branch we have hello peoples. So if I try to merge these two things, what do you think what will happen? Because one in the master, one way there is a peeps and other way there is a peoples. So in one branch it is written peeps and in this branch it is written peoples. So both of them are different, right? So both of the code are different. So how will the Git react to this? So let's see it. So I will just check out to my master branch. Okay, now let's try to merge the changes. As you can see, the file is also changes here, written hello peeps, and I want to like merge the changes which was present in our feature branch to this branch. So as you already know that there was written hello peoples and here it is written hello peeps, so both are totally different. So let's see how Git react to this. So let's merge the thing here, git merge feature. Okay, as you can see, there is a merge conflict. It's showing exclamation mark, like it's trying to signify that there is some conflict between the files, because as you can see here it was written peeps, and in our feature branch it was written peoples, and you can see the current changes was peeps and the incoming changes is peoples. So Git is kind of confused that which code to consider here, because both of them are different, and while like you cannot overwrite anything, right? So if one person is writing some other code and it might be like better than some another one, so if doing this, if we merge the other code into this file, it will like overwrite, right? But Git like provide a feature which is merge conflict. It help us to like overview, it help us to like overview the code, to check the code, like compare them together to see which feature, like which code is useful for us. So as you can see that it's showing merge conflict, and we have four options. We can either accept the changes which is present in our current branch, which is the master branch, or we can accept the changes which is coming from incoming changes, which is coming from the feature branch, or we can accept both of the changes, or we can compare the changes. So let's compare this. Okay, so as you can see, this is our master branch and this is our feature branch. In our master branch we have peeps, and in our feature branch it is written peoples. So both of them are different, and while working on a big project, this is quite common to us that two person might be working on the same file, and they might at some point they might write some code which might be conflicting with the existing code available in the branch. So at that point it will show a merge conflict. So merge conflict are not get resolved by itself, we need to by manually resolve it. So as we are comparing the changes here, we can decide what changes we want to keep and what changes we want to discard. So as you can see, I will go through these changes, the changes available in my master branch. So what I can do, I can like accept the current changes, and if I do so, you can see the merge conflict is gone. And after this we can like commit the changes available in this branch, so that the both of the branch get up to date. So since I have resolved the merge conflict, now the next thing that I need to do is commit the changes after resolving the merge conflict. So I will quickly commit the changes here, which is git add, git commit, okay. So if I show you the git graph of this, okay, as you can see, we did some initial commits, then we did some commit from feature branch, then we did some commit from second commit from feature branch, and at one point we wrote some code in our feature branch, which is this, and at the same time we also wrote some code in our master branch, which was this commit. At one point we want them to be merged together, so both of them got merged at this particular commit, which is written here. So in this way merge conflict can be resolved. So this was all about the merge conflict that we usually get, and it's quite common that we will like get this conflict sooner in our project, because when we work on a big project we have like very huge amount of people working together. There are like 10 to 15 people working together, and it's quite obvious that at some point two people will like write some another code, like different code on the same folder, same file, and if we try to merge it together it will show a merge conflict. So if you like working on a real life project, it's quite common that you will receive a merge conflict, and you should know how to resolve it. So this was like, in this way we can resolve the merge conflict present in our local Git repository. After some time I will show you how you can resolve it in GitHub. So I think you are clear up to here now, and after this I will move ahead to GitHub. What is GitHub and why do we generally use it? So is it clear till now? You can type in the chat if you have any query or any question, and if no, we can like move ahead to GitHub, and we will see how we can push our project to the server, which is our remote server, and generally we generally use GitHub for that. I think you guys don't have any doubts. So okay, I will also I will share this PPT after the session where I have wrote some more code. Also I forgot to mention that we can delete a branch using git branch d, and we can write the name of this branch here. So it will specifically delete a branch. There's one condition for deleting a branch: the branch should be up to date with the master branch, because suppose you wrote some code suppose you are adding some feature and by accident you wrote this command which will delete a specified branch. So what will happen is, like, the entire branch will be deleted and you will lost everything which was present in that branch. For that safety measure, the Git provide us a feature which is /d. Git provide us a feature that will help us to not delete that branch in case you accidentally try to delete it. It is only possible if the branch is up to date with the master branch, otherwise it will show an error. But you can forcefully delete a branch by using capital D. You can write git branch dash capital D, which is the flag that we use to delete a branch forcefully. So suppose there is a branch feature, you are working on a feature, and it seems like the code that you wrote there is not working at all. It is showing quite a number of errors, and you don't want that branch should be merged with the main branch. So what you can do, you can type this flag /capital D. It will forcefully delete that branch because the branch is not up to date with the master branch. So it is very unsafe to like delete that branch, but still you can forcefully delete it using /d, and you can try it on your own how you can like delete a branch. Okay, and it is a good practice to like delete a branch after every merge. So if you are working on a feature, you added the feature, then you merge the feature in the master branch. So after that you should delete that branch, because if you are keeping every branch with your like repo, it will like create a huge trouble in the end, because there will be a multiple branch and you will get confused which branch contains which feature, and at some point it will like mess up your entire code. So I would suggest that after merging every branch you should delete a branch, and for working on a new feature you can create another branch from the master branch at that current instance of the commit. So moving ahead, I have already told about the git merge. Wait a minute. Okay, we talked about version control system and why this is useful. So if you are a Python developer, if you are a Flutter developer, or if you are a web developer, so whenever you try to download a software, suppose you are trying to download a Python, suppose you are trying to download a Flutter SDK, if you're trying to download a Node.js version, it will always show you a version of the software of the SDK. It will show you the current version, which is the newest version. Then it will show the entire list of version which was from the previous version of that particular SDK. So likewise, we can keep track of our project in the form of a version. We can do minor change to the version, then we can like change the version to the next level. So that's why we use version control system. It helps us to like manage our project. It keeps record of every single changes that are done to the code, and it allows us to like turn back to the previous version of the code in case we make any mistake in our current version. and without VCS it is not possible us to like monitor the development of our project. Without version control system you cannot collaborate with other people, you cannot collaborate with your friends. You most of the like in industry like many of the people collaborate together on working on a single project, and without the version control system it is not possible for them to like keep track of the record of the file that are keep changing during the development of the project. So there are usually three types of VCS, mainly local version control system, centralized version control system, and distributed version control system. Currently we were learning the local version control system, which is the Git. So what Git does, we keep track of the changes in our local repository. So whenever we do a commit, it gets stored in our local storage of our PC or of our desktop. So whenever we make any changes to our project, it get, and after every commit it gets stored in our local project or local storage. So we keep track of the project in our local repository. So there is some demerits of using local version control system, because if you suppose your Windows get crash, if your local machine get crash, you will like lose all of your information, you will lose all of your project. So suppose you are a window user and suppose your window get crash and you want to you need to reset your entire PC in order to like get it working. In that case your entire project will be lost and you cannot like retrieve the files that are lost from your local using the local version control system. Also you cannot like collaborate with your friends. So if you are using local version control system, you are like making changes to your local repository, not to a cloud or not to a server. So in order to like work with your friend, you can do one thing, like you can pack your laptop and you can like you can like deliver your laptop to your friend. Your friend will start working on that project again. After the completion of feature, then he will return you the laptop. In this way you can like collaborate with your friends. So it is impossible, like it is not possible to like collaborate with your friends using a local version control system. And this is a flowchart. As you can see, we have a file, we have a project, and we keep track of the project in the version database, which is our Git repository present in our local storage. So as you can see, there are version 1, version 2, version 3. The changes are present in our local computer, so it is not available outside our computer. So this is the demerit of using a local version control system. Next we have centralized version control system. In centralized version control system, what we usually do, we likewise we push our code to our local repository. In centralized version control system, we push our code to the remote repository. It can be a server, it can be a master computer, or it can be a centralized computer. So any changes we made in our local project get transferred to a server, which is a single central server. It will contain all the files related to the project. So since we are using a centralized version control system and it contains a single server, so it can be connected with a multiple PC system. So your friends can like work with you in a project, and whenever you make any changes, whenever your friends make any changes, you can like directly commit the changes to the server and it gets stored in the server itself. But again it's have some demerits. Suppose the server, which is the main server that we are using to control our project, suppose it gets crashed. So the problem with the central version control system is that if the central server crashes, almost everything related to the project will be lost, because we are not keeping anything in our local repository. We are just, every time we make some changes, we like committing everything to the server, not in our local repository. So we don't have any track, we don't have any copy of our file in our local repository. So suppose if the server crashes sometime, you will be lost with everything present in present in the project. So also suppose you are working from home and suppose you are on a vacation and you are in a place where there is no internet, you cannot connect with the server at that time. So you cannot like work with the project, because you are not connected with the central version control system, which is a centralized server. So if there is a remote, you are working on a place where is a less latency of the internet, you cannot work on the project because you cannot transfer file to the server. So that's another demerit of using a central version control system. So this is the graph. So there is a working copy in your workstation. You commit the changes to the repository, you update the changes, you like pull the changes from the repository, and likewise 3 or more, like many people can like work together from a single source of from a single server, and you make change to the project. And yeah, likewise the project central version control system work. Now coming to the distributed version control system, which is the GitHub model. So currently this is the most famous version of the VCS. So we generally use distributed version control system. So what we have, as you know, Git is a local version control system and GitHub is a centralized version control system. So as you already know, we are like staging our files to the local repository, as well as we will transfer the file to the central server as well. So we have a version control at our local level also, and at the server level also. So we are keeping track of our file and our project in the local repository as well as in the remote repository. So it allows us to, like, if you are working from a remote area, if you are working from an area where there is a less internet connectivity, you can still work on the project because you have a local repository present there, and you can keep track of the file there as well. You can make some changes in the file, you can push the changes to the local repository, and whenever the internet get like connect, you can like push your entire changes to the centralized server, and your friends who is also there can also commit the changes to the server as well, and you can pull the changes, you can fetch all the changes and update your local repository as well. So we have two version control here. We have a local version control and we have a central version control. So together it is called as a distributed version control system. So each user has their own repository and a working copy. So it is very useful because even if the server crashes, we won't lose everything, as several copies of this project will be residing on several other computer. So if the server crashes, you still have your own copy, your friends have its own copy, and even if your PC crashes, your friends would have the copy of the project. So this is the overview of the distributed version control system. So we have a local repository, we make some changes to the local repository, and then from local repository it gets pushed to the central server. Likewise, we can pull the changes from the central server, then update the changes present in our current working project. So likewise, we have a distributed version control system, and for that we generally use GitHub. So GitHub is not the only software available on the internet to be used as a distributed version control system. There are other as well, like we have GitLab, and many companies, like suppose Google uses its own version control system which is not made available to the public. So they have their own version control system, they don't rely on GitHub. But most of the company which are big tech companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, they do rely on that. No, Amazon don't rely on GitHub, but Microsoft do rely on GitHub for managing their projects. But most of the open source projects, such as open source project of Google like TensorFlow, or it can be a Golang, are available in the GitHub because they made it open source, so it is available to the public. But Google has its own version control system which is not available to the public yet, so they don't rely on others for like managing their project. And if you get chance to work in the Google, you will definitely work with their own version control system. And even though if you don't get chance to work with Google, other companies such as Microsoft also uses the GitHub, so it will be helpful for you if you start working on an industry. And on the first day of your project, they will ask you to like work on a feature and post the feature to the GitHub. So you must know how the GitHub work together. Okay, so this is the way how Git local repository is connected to the remote repository. We have a working directory, we add the changes goes to the staging area. From staging area we commit the changes to the local repository, and from local repository we can push the changes to the remote repository. Likewise, we can pull the changes from remote repository to the local repository, and we can fetch everything from the local repository to our working directory through git fetch, and there are many other commands as well. So okay, so I will quickly show. So we are now currently I'm creating a new repository here by name GDSC Git GitHub. I will make it public, and now let's create this repository. Okay, as you can see, there is bunch of code written here. So if you want to connect your local repository to the remote repository, we can follow up this command. So git init, we know that it initializes the repository. Git add, we can add a file. Git commit, we can use a merge, we can create a main branch, and we can connect this code. What this code does is it connects our local repository with our remote repository. So as you can see, we have two keys here, one is the HTTPS and one is the SSH. So we will be using the HTTPS link. So I have copied this code here, and okay, so this is my local repository. I want to connect this repository with my GitHub account. So what I can do here, I can first of all I need to add a remote. So what a remote does is, remote is like, from the name, as you can, the name suggests, remote is like, remote connects our local repo with the remote repo. We can use remote to do all our stuff like git remote add, we can add stuff to the git repository, we can like delete the head of our local repository. So there are many command which is associated with remote. So I will show you the one command that we generally use, which is the git remote add. It will add a remote of our local repository to connect with our remote repository. So as you already seen that we have copied a link from here. So okay, so we have copied this thing. So I want to add a remote to this particular repo, so that my local repository points to that repo present in our GitHub, so that I can push my files to the remote repository, and I can like retrieve my files as well, and I can like collaborate with my friends using the repository present in my GitHub. So I will add the remote to my GitHub by using git remote add. Okay, git remote. Okay, actually I need to add origin. So there's a difference between origin and upstream. I will explain you within a minute. So origin, like the significance of origin is like, origin is the repository which you own, and upstream is the repository which your organization or your friends own. So if you want to contribute something to your friends repository, or if you want to contribute something to your organization repository, you need to use the word upstream, and if you own that repository, you need to use the word origin. So this is the difference between two of the word. So git remote origin, this is to add. We generally use origin to the origin signifies that the repository is your own repository, it belongs to you. And if we write upstream here, upstream, it signifies that the repository belongs to some other people or some other organization. But since this repository belongs to me, so I will write git origin, then I will paste the link here. Okay, so let's make it confirm that we have successfully connected our local repository with our remote repository. We can write git remote. Okay, as you can see, we have connected with our origin. It's shown here. So git remote, if we type git remote, it will show all the remote which is connected with our local repository. Now I can push my changes to my GitHub account. For that, we have a command git push origin. See, we need to like mention the remote that we are gonna use. So origin means you are pushing the code to your own local repository, or no, we are pushing the code to your own GitHub repository which belongs to you. And if I write upstream, it will signifies that I am pushing the code to the remote repository which belongs to someone else. So if I like clone something from someone else repository and I want to make changes there, I need to use the word upstream, because the repository does not belong to me, it belongs to someone else. But since it's the current repository belongs to me, I will use the word origin, git push origin, and you need to specify the branch where you want to commit. So we are currently at master branch, so I will like commit, will push the changes to my master branch as well. So git push origin master. Okay, so as you can see, my code is now transferred to my remote repository, which is the GitHub repository. And if I refresh the page, you can see here that my code is now available here, and this was the last commit that I did to my code, commit from the master. So in this way you can like transfer the code present in a local repository to your like remote repository. And suppose if I make some changes here, suppose your friends are working on the same project and they did some changes here in the remote repository. So how can you bring that changes to your local project? So let me change this text, hello guys. I will commit the changes. See, actually I am not committing the changes in my local repository on the local system. I am like committing the changes on my server itself. So in the GitHub itself I am updating the files, and as you can see here, I have changed the text to hello guys, and in my local repository it's showing hello peeps. Now I want to pull the changes present in my remote repository to my local repository. For that I can type a command git pull origin. Always specify origin for the repo that belongs to you, and if you are working with some other project, or if you are working with some other people or other organization and the repo does not belong to you, it belongs to someone else, you can use the term upstream there. So upstream defines that the repo that you are using belongs to someone else. Okay, so now since I have I wrote origin, I can like pull the changes there, and I need to specify the branch from where I need to pull the changes. And in our case we are using the master branch, so I will type master. So git pull origin master, it will pull the entire changes present in the GitHub repository to my local project. So if I type this, not sure, I think I was not able to show you how I did the changes, how I committed the changes to the GitHub, right? Okay, so I will explain you again. Wait a minute. I think last time I was explaining that how we can connect our local Git repository to the GitHub repository. till now we were working on our remote we were working on the local remote repository, so we were like committing the changes to our remote database. We were committing the changes to our remote repository using the git. Now I want to push the changes to the server, so that in case my laptop get crash, if in case my window get crash, I won't like lose all of my project there, because there is a chance that if I store all of my project in my local repository, it will get if my laptop get crashes, it will get deleted and I will lose all of my project there. So it is safe to like upload all my project to GitHub repository. Also GitHub keep tracks of everything. It will keep track of all the version. If it will keep track of all the file, it will keep track of all the project that are associated and all the people who are associated with particular project. So now since we have created a local git repository, now I want to transfer all my folder. I want to transfer entire project to my GitHub account. So let's create a GitHub repository, and I will name it GDSC GitHub. Okay, so this is public repository, and okay, GitHub. Okay, no worry. So as you can see here, we have a bunch of commands that shows us how we can connect our remote repo with the local repo with the remote repository. So this is the SSH this is the HTTPS link to our repository, and we have another link which is the SSH, which is the secure shell. For now, this project we will be using the HTTPS protocol. So both of them are different protocol. SSH is a secure shell, while the HTTPS is a different protocol. So for the simplicity, we will be using HTTPS. Okay. Now as it is already written here, we need to add something here. So what is remote? So remote is a command which allows us to like interact with our repo present in our GitHub with our local repository. So we will be using remote to communicate between our local repo and the remote repos. So as the name suggests, remote is like work as a connectivity between a local repository and a remote repository. So it's like a remote, the remote that we use to control a TV, or we use to control any AC appliances. So it helps us to like connect the user with the appliances or the electronic appliances. Similarly, in the GitHub, we will be using we will be using remote to connect our local repository with our remote repository. So first of all, I need to create a remote. So create in the sense I need to add a remote to the local repository. For that, we have a command git remote add. I want to add a remote. Also, we need to specify what type of remote we need to add. Is it a origin or is it a upstream? So there are two types of remote. One is origin and another one is upstream. So the differences between two are: origins specify that the repository belongs to you, and the upstream specify that the repository belongs to some other organization or some other people. So if the repository belongs to you, you have to use the term origin, otherwise you have to use the term upstream. So it helps the Git to like distinguish between the two remotes. One is the origin, which will be used for the local repository, and upstream, which will be used origin which will be used for the repository belongs to you, and the upstream will be used for the repository which belong to someone else or some other organization. I will be explaining you both of them. So currently, since the repository belongs to me, I will be using origin. So I want to add a remote called origin, and I need to specify the URL for that. Since we have copied this from the GitHub itself, this is the URL pointing to our repository. So we have added a remote. Let's see what is the name of the remote. We can type git remote, and it specifies that we have one remote only, which is the origin. Now I need to transfer my files to the repository. For that there is a command called git push origin. As you can see, we are using the origin to specify which repository we want to push our code to. So there can be two repositories, one belongs to you and one that belongs to someone else. So we have already specified that we will be pushing our code to our origin, our own repository. So we have wrote origin here, and also we need to specify the branch, to which branch we are trying to push our code. So it is master. Let's wait a few seconds here. Okay, as you can see, our local master and the master present at our GitHub repository are up to date now. And if I do a refresh to my page, you can see that my file is now uploaded to this repository. And suppose now your friend is also working on this project, and he is also working on this file. So suppose he made some changes here. I will make a quick change here. Okay, so here it written peeps. I will write guys. I will commit the changes here. Notice that I am not committing the changes in our local repository. I am doing the changes in the GitHub itself. So I made the changes in the GitHub itself, not in my local repository. So the changes that are present in the file which are present in the remote repository is not present in my local repo. So as you can see here, it is written hello guys, but in my local repository it is written hello peeps. So I want that the changes that are present in my remote repo should also be present in my working directory. For that I need to pull the changes from the GitHub to my local repository. For that there is a command called git pull origin. So as you can see, we have specified the repo which is whether a origin or a upstream. So git pull origin, and we need to type the branch of the branch we want to pull from. So I wrote here master. Okay, now you can see my branch is now up to date with my branch, which is the master branch, is up to date with the branch present in my GitHub repository. So as you can see here, the text that I wrote in the GitHub is now reflecting the changes here as well. So in this way we can like push the changes to the repository, also pull the changes to the repository. Now I will show you how we can push the changes to your friend's repository. I will explain you the term upstream here. So I have a friend, Kamal. He in previous session he taught you about this thing. So I will first I will fork this repository. Do you know the meaning of fork? Fork is like making a copy of the project into your own profile. So suppose there is a project and you like the project and you want to keep the project for yourself, so you can copy the project to your own profile. So in other words, we use the term fork. So it allows us to make changes without reflecting the changes in the original project. So as it is written here, a fork is a copy of the repository. So forking a repository allows us to freely experiment with the changes without affecting the original project. So I want to make changes in this repository without reflecting the changes in the original repository, original project. So I will be using fork here. Okay, so I have created the repo. I will be forking the project here. Now since this project is not present in my local directory or in my local computer, I need to clone this project to my local computer. For that we can simply use a command called git clone. For that we need a link of this. If we go to code, you can see that there are two options, which is HTTPS, SSH and the GitHub CLI. So we will be using this HTTPS method. Okay, so let me create a okay, I will write here as well. So I will clone the repo here itself. So the command is git clone, then the name of the like the URL which will be pointing to the repository. If I type enter here, okay, so if I do a refresh, you can see the project which was present in my GitHub account is now available in my local computer, and all the files which were present in the GitHub repository is now in my local computer. And now I can play around with the file. I can make changes here, and after making the changes I can like push the changes to the GitHub account. So I will show you how we can do that. So let's first check what are the remote present in our repository. As you can see, we have origin. By default, the origin remote is added to our project. So if we change some changes here, it will get reflected to my repository which I forked from my friend's repo. So if I make some changes here, suppose heading, I will write head. So I wrote head here, and if I make some changes here, if I add this to my local repo and commit the changes, okay, so I have committed the changes to my local repository. Now I will push the changes to my repo parent in my GitHub. For that, the command was git push origin. We have defined the remote origin and the branch which was master. Okay, okay, let me check. We have main branch written here, so that's why it was throwing some error, because it was unable to find the branch which I have specified in my code. So I have to write git push origin main. Okay, now let's check this. Okay, so as you can see here, I did a change. This is one minute ago. If I open you the folder, this is the change I made. Now suppose I want to directly make the change to my friend's repo, which is this one. I can do that so by adding a new remote. So if I click here and type, if I click here and take the HTTPS URL which is pointing to this repository, and I can add a remote to this repo by writing git add git remote add. This time you have to mention upstream, because before the repo was belonging to me, that's why I wrote origin. But now since the remote is since the repo does not belong to me, it's belong to my friend, that's why I will be using upstream. Okay, is my voice audible? Okay, am I audible? Okay, so as I have mentioned that this repo does not belong to me, it belongs to my friend's repo. So I will write here upstream. The upstream word specified that the repo does not belongs to me, it belongs to someone else. It belongs to my friends, it belongs to some other organization. So I wrote here upstream, and I will type here the URL which is pointing to that particular repository. Okay, now let's check git remote. To check the remote available to us, we have two remote, one is origin and another one is upstream. Now suppose if I want to push the changes to my friend's repo, I will write git push, this time upstream main. So previously we have defined origin here because we were trying to like push the code to our repository which belongs to us, but now I want to contribute the code to my friend's repo as well. So if I write git push upstream main, it will push the changes to your friend's repo. But remember, at this point you will get an error. Why? Because you don't have permission to directly make any changes to your friend's repository. Suppose you are working on a project and suppose you are working on under an organization. Suppose you saw any public repository and you forked the repo and you made some changes, but you cannot directly contribute the changes to the parent repo because due to security reason, because obviously why would anyone allow any person to make change in their own repository now? So there you will get an error saying that you don't have permission. But since I already have permission from my friends that I can push the code to his repo without doing any other stuff, so that's why it is directly getting pushed to that repository. But in your case it will show an error saying that you don't have permission to push the changes to the upstream branch. And now let's check my friend's repo. Okay, you can see that I made the changes here 5 minutes ago. If I show you the code, it's head written here. So in this way we can like contribute to someone else's project, whether this is your own, whether this is the repo belongs to your own or if the repo belongs to someone else. And it was the this is the difference between two words, which is the remote and upstream, which is the origin and the upstream. Origin is for the repo which belongs to you, and upstream is the repo which belongs to someone else. It can be some other people, it can be some other organization. And make sure you have permission to like make changes in the repo, otherwise it will throw an error saying that you don't have permission to make any changes to that particular repo which does not belong to you. Okay, I hope it is clear till now, till this point. If you guys have any doubt, you can like type in the chat. Otherwise I will explain you the PR. After the PR I will be explaining you about the Hacktoberfest, how you can like get a free Hacktober t-shirt, and what are the open source project and open source repository where you can contribute and like get that free Hacktober like t-shirt. I will be explaining you what is the Hacktoberfest and how like you can contribute to the open source project. So since you guys don't have any doubt, let me show you what is PR. So PR is basically suppose at this point, as you already know, I have permission to make changes to my friend's repo. But if you are working on, if you show someone else code and you fork that repo from their GitHub repository to your own personal profile, but you made some changes there and you want that I also want to make these changes available to all, and but still since you don't have access to like directly push the code to the parent repository, there is some another option which we call pull request, which is known as PR. Using PR we can like ask the owner of the repository, the maintainer of the repository, to check the code that you wrote, and you are like asking permission that can I like merge my changes to your repository. I made these changes and I think these changes will be beneficial for you as well as for other people. So pull request is like asking the person who is the owner of the repository, requesting him that your code that you wrote on your own can the code that you wrote, and you want that code to be merged with the code parent in the repository of the parent repo, and you are asking for the permission. And without the permission from the owner of the repo or the maintainer of the repo, you cannot like merge the code together because you don't have any permission. So pull request is the way through which you can ask permission for that, and if the admin approves that yeah, your code is looking good and it will help me as well, so he will merge the changes there. So I will I will show you quickly how that works. So I made these changes here. I will quickly commit the changes to my own personal repo, which is the origin. So I will git add, git commit, suppose second commit. Then I will push the changes to the origin branch. I will push the changes to the origin, which is my personal repo, which belongs to me. So I will type origin main. Okay, so changes are done, right? So let's go to okay, this was my repo that I forked from my friend, and as you can see, the GitHub is telling me that this branch is one commit ahead of this branch, Josu branch, which is the parent branch. I can now contribute to his branch using a pull request. So if I click on this button, contribute, it's showing me an option of opening a pull request. So I can give a pull request there. If I click here, so notice this, the head of the repository of my own repo, which is my name, Biju Bora Git demo. I want that all the changes to be get merged to the repo of my friend's repository, which is the Josu 9435. And since I already have permission to do the changes, but in your case, mostly in your case, you won't have the permission to do so. So for that condition, you have to like write here that I made these changes. You can like add some files here as well, add some images that the changes that you did, and you can do you can create a pull request here. After creating a pull request, the maintainer or the owner of the repository can check the changes that you have made to the file. So if I go to the commit and changes, so here it's showing me the changes that I did to the project. Since it's only a one line of code, but most of the cases it will be around 10 to 12 files, and there will be a lots of lines. So he have to go through entire project and check if it is good for them or not. And if he gets satisfied that yeah, the code will be beneficial for me, so what he can do is he can merge the changes to his own repository. So I have like applied for a pull request from my own Bijubara main branch to the branch present in the parent repo of my friend's repository. So you won't get this option because you don't have the permission to do so, but since I have permission to make any changes to my friend's repository, I can directly merge the pull request. So if I do so, it will be asking, are you sure you want to merge the pull request? And you can now confirm it. Okay, is my screen not visible? Let me reshare my screen. Okay, is it visible now? Okay, so I was explaining that you can use a pull request to merge the changes. Like as you have seen that I have created a pull request asking the permission from the owner of the repository to merge the changes present in my file to his repository. So I am asking the owner or the maintainer of the project to take a look at the changes that I did to my own repository, which was the copy of the main project, and asking him that if he can merge the changes in his own repo so that it can help them and help other as well. So likewise we can do a pull request. And in other word, while working on a big project, suppose you are working on a big organization, and suppose you are working on a Facebook, so they won't allow a junior developer to do any changes with the do any changes with their branches, because now junior developer don't have any experience. They have limited experience about the codes. So what they usually do, they do a pull request asking the senior developer to review the code. So the senior developer will go through your code, they will check if there is any bug present in your code, they will review the way you wrote the code, if it is good or bad, the simplicity of the code, the efficiency of the code. After the completion of entire review, he will merge the changes with the main branch of the Facebook. So in big tech organization, if you are entry level fresher, or if you are a SD1, or if you are a junior developer or a junior software development engineer, you won't get the permission to change anything directly with their branches, because you don't have that much experience, you have limited experience, and any changes that are need to be done with the branches are done by the senior developer. So every time you do any changes with the files, you must give a pull request to the project, and the senior developer will check whether the changes that you have done to the file is valid or not, if it is efficient, or if it is bug free, or if it is working or not. So after a quick code review, they will check and finalize if the code that you wrote is good or bad, and after the completion of review, they will merge the code with their own branches. So this is how pull requests work, and the Git branches and the pull requests are the most important thing that you need to know in the GitHub session. So Git branches are useful when you want to make any changes with your code, and you don't want to affect the code with the main branch. You want a safer area where you can play around with the code. You want to do the changes such that it won't affect the main branch. So if you want to test something out, you generally use a branch. And if you want to contribute to any other project, if you want to contribute to some other project, some other repo, you generally use pull request. So pull request is the way through which a organizer, a repo owner, or a big tech organization uses, so that they can review the changes that you have made and finalize whether the changes that you did are good for them or not, if it is helpful, or if it is like just a small bug fix, if it is like you wrote some code and at some point, suppose you broke down the entire feature of the project. So to preserve that thing, to protect that thing from the happening, they generally ask us to give a pull request so that they can review the code that you wrote and make sure that anything you did to the branches does not affect the entire project. So this is how things work in the corporate life, or when you will be working on a big project, and when you will be working on a big tech organization. This is how things will work. You have to give up, you need to create a branch from the existing main branch. Then you need to work on the feature. After the work of the feature is done, you will merge the feature with the dev branch or the testing branch. In the testing branch, it will check whether the feature that you made is like working or not, if it is bug free or not. After successful testing of the feature, they will ask the senior developer to merge it with the main branch. For that, they will ask for the pull request, and the senior developer will check. They will go through the code, they will check entire code to make it sure that your code won't break out the entire production. So they will go through your entire code and check whether it is the code that you wrote are good or bad, and after a quick review, they will merge the code into the main branch. So that's why we generally use a branching in our GitHub, and also that's why we use a pull request. So I hope you are clear till this point, and if you have any doubt, you can type in the chat box. It's already 8 p.m. so I think we can wrap it up quickly. If you don't have any doubt, so let's talk about Hacktoberfest. So I will quickly go to the Hacktober website. Okay, this is the Hacktoberfest. So what is Hacktoberfest. So every year in the month of October, the Digital Ocean, which I think you have heard of, organizes an event, or we can say a festival, where they generally like make you suppose in the Hacktoberfest, they generally encourages you to contribute to open source project. So there are lots of open source project going on. So it can be anything. It can be Golang, it can be other .NET framework, it can be any languages which are open source. So there are lots of repository present in the Hacktoberfest where you can contribute. So Hacktoberfest is basically an week, you can say a month-long celebration of open source contribution. So Digital Ocean like generally encourages you to contribute to the open source community. So what's the benefit of contributing to an open source project? Let's talk about what is open source project. So open source project are the project that are managed by the people, that are managed by the community. So any project that are related to any community are called as open source project, which are managed by the people. So if you want to see any changes in the project, suppose you want to add any feature, you can do so. You don't need to like directly get employed by that organization. Suppose you don't need to be an employee of Google to contribute to their any projects. So you can, as an individual, you can contribute to their project without being an employee of that organization. So Hacktoberfest is just an open source festival which encourages you to contribute to open source project present in the GitHub community or GitLab community. So how you can avail a free t-shirt? So for that it's given instruction here, like let me check here. Okay, so as you can see here, it's written register anytime between 26 to 31 October, give a pull request to GitHub or GitLab which are hosted by the repository which are participating in Hacktoberfest. You need to give 4 pull requests and they must be accepted by the owner or accepted by the organization between October 1 to October 31 to complete this Hacktoberfest. And the first 40,000 participants will receive a free Hacktober t-shirt. There are actually 2 prizes, a tree planted on their name or the Hacktoberfest 2022 t-shirt. So if you are able to make a 4 successful pull requests in the month of October, you can get a free t-shirt by the Digital Ocean. And the pull request must be accepted by the maintainer of the project or the owner of the organization or the owner of the repository. To like, if you successfully like give a full pull request and they accepted the pull request within this given month, you will be like you will get a free Hacktober t-shirt by completing the Hacktober challenge. This is the Hacktober challenge. And now how you can find a repository, like perfect repository to contribute. So if I go here, git Hacktoberfest 2022 repo list. So okay, here you can find all the repo related to which are participating in the Hacktoberfest. Also they will be, you are not only limited to the t-shirt. Most of the organization like they also provide extra swags or extra prizes to the contributor. Suppose app writer, they have a t-shirt, sticker if you give a 4 pull request to any eligible repository. Similarly, let's see, they have a planted tree t-shirt. These are the organization, code them, they will give you a t-shirt. Then they will give you a sticker if you do 2 pull requests to any qualifying that their repo. And suppose this, they will give you a t-shirt, a jacket and a voucher If you are able to merge 2 pull requests, you will get a mug. If you are able to merge 3 pull requests, you will get a t-shirt, and 3 plus you will get a jacket. Okay, these are the big organization, and you like, if you are a beginner, it might be hard for you to like contribute to this project, because their project seems to be very larger, and they need to be very professional to be able to like contribute to this project. If you are a beginner, you can like search for the GitHub. Okay, you can search here Hacktoberfest here. Okay, so here you can find all the repo which is related to Hacktoberfest. So there are around 1 lakh repository. You have different languages here. You have JavaScript, Python, HTML, CSS. If you see the topics under Hacktoberfest, you can find all the repository which are participating in this event. So you can check, you can sort all the name. Suppose you are a Python developer, you can check for the Python repository. So these are the repository under Hacktoberfest. You can start contributing to this repository. For that, what you usually need to do, first find a repo if it is suitable to you, if it is matching with your current skill. Suppose you are a web developer and you know HTML, CSS very well, so there might be some repository where they need to add something in their front end. And if you are a Java developer, if you are an Android developer, there might be some repository where they need Android developer to add some feature to their repository. So you can go to their repo and check issues section. There you can find all the feature they want to be added, or all the bugs. So as you can see here, like they need this type of things, and you can give a pull request here as well. So these are the people who gave the pull request, and some of them are taught, they have some check also. They have this cross mark indicating that they have failed some check. So here it's mentioning that they have 16 out of 20 check. Okay, so they will have some check. If they are big organization, they will definitely have some code check. And if there is some small repository, like the repo maintained by a small organization or a group of people, or by a single people, they won't have such a check for the pull request. But also you will be able to contribute to their project, because their project are little bit too small, and you can able to understand their code instead of like learning entire thing they are using. So suppose this is the repo of Hugging Face, and they are using too many languages for them, and you need to like go through their code and understand the how this project is working, how they are working on, how the project is working, and how they are like contributing, how you can contribute to their project. So they have already wrote here like how you can be a contributor. Okay, this is an AI project, I think. So I think you are clear with this. If you have any doubt regarding the Hacktoberfest, or regarding anything, you can ask any of the core member or any instructor. Since we are running out of time, it's already 8:20. I was expecting it to be like completed before 8. So sorry if something was missed out, because I was not sure that my network was too laggy today, and it was like getting disconnected every time. And for my surprise, I was not like aware that I got disconnected, and I was like teaching entire code, and only to hear that I got disconnected and there is no one in the meet. So if you have any doubt, you can ask here. And regarding the Hacktoberfest, if you want any session on this topic, you can like comment in the group as well. If you want a separate session on Hacktoberfest, like how you can contribute to that open source project, how we should approach, or you can individually contact any of the core member and ask them about how you can how we can like contribute to any open source project and how we can like complete the Hacktober challenge. So till this point, if you have any doubt, kindly like type in the chat box, and if you don't, we can wrap up this session here because it's already too late and I think you have exam for Monday, so I don't want to like take up your entire time. Okay, it is not necessary that you need to fork the project, because suppose I will show you here. Okay, pull request is not only limited to your friends repo. If like you can do a pull request to your own repo as well. So suppose I'm creating a branch here. This is my own repository. I'm creating a branch. Suppose a dev branch. Okay, so I have created a dev branch, and now I want to make some changes here. So suppose this is a testing branch and I am making some changes here. So suppose I did some change in my dev branch here as a head. I committed the changes. Okay, so the changes are now present in my dev branch. So if you check here, this is the dev branch, and the GitHub is now like telling me that dev branch has some recent pushes, and you can now do a compare and a pull request. So while working on a project, it's highly recommend that whenever you try working on a new feature, you should create a another separate branch, and after like successful testing of that feature, you can do a pull request. And in your case, it is not necessary that you need to do a pull request, but you can still make a pull request from your own repository as well. So I am merging the dev branch with my main branch, and I am making a pull request for that. So I have created a pull request, and since this project belongs to me, since this repo belongs to me, I can merge the changes without any other permission. So I have like merged the changes. Also, you make sure you delete the branch after the successful merge of the project, or after the successful merge of the branch. You should like always delete that particular branch, otherwise it will create a problem when you have too many branches to handle. So I will delete this branch. So this branch is deleted. Okay, so okay, actually I did some mistake here. So actually I merged my dev branch with the main branch of my friend's repo. So I was trying to like explain you that you don't need to fork a project to give a pull request, but suppose if you are working if you don't have any permission to that repo, suppose the repo belongs to someone else and you don't have any permission to give a pull request, you don't have any permission to make changes to their file. For that case, you need to fork the repo first in order to make the changes. So suppose you are there is some organization and you want to make changes to their project, so you need to first fork their repo, then make some changes to your own local repo, the fork repo, sorry. So first you need to fork the repo from the parent branch, a parent organization, then make some changes in the repo which you have just forked, and then give a pull request to the parent branch. So likewise the pull request work. But if you already have an access to that particular repository, you don't need to like fork the repo. You can directly push the changes to that repository, or you can directly give a pull request without forking the repository. So I think I made you clear about the answer. If you still have any doubt, you can like type here. Okay, so if anyone else have any doubt, you can like type in here. otherwise anytime if you face any difficulties, you can like contact any of the core members. They can like definitely help you out if you get stuck somewhere in the that github coding, github like writing the code, or you like stuck somewhere in merge config or anywhere, and if you want to like learn more thing, you can like contact any of the core member. So the 2 hour was not sufficient for me to like teach you everything from scratch or teach you everything related to GitHub, but you will eventually learn it by own while working on the big projects. So we have some plan for you guys. So we will be sooner we will be starting the project under GDSC, and there you will get to get a chance to work with the GitHub, and while working on the project you will like learn on your own like how GitHub works. So if you have any doubt, you can like type in here, otherwise like we can wrap up the session.